We are still waiting to find out just exactly when the NHL is set to return. There is a nice little rumor, report out there that has intrigued hockey fans everywhere. The potential of an all-Canadian division has made me really excited. We're with Sean Reynolds, who, of course, does a tremendous job covering the Winnipeg Jets. Let's talk about a potential Canadian division from a Jets perspective. Why do you think it'd be a big win for the Jets if the NHL went all-Canadian for the upcoming season?
Well, Faizal, you have to understand the psychology of a Jets fan. This is a city that lost its team for 15 years. And when they were gone, people here didn't stop loving hockey, so they needed to find a place to go. Some people followed the Phoenix Coyotes for a couple of years. That didn't really stick. What basically happened after that is people in Winnipeg started grabbing on to Canadian teams. Now, you've always got the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. No matter where they go in Canada, half that rink is filled with fans of those two teams. So a lot of people went there, but a lot of buddies I know growing up went to a team like the Edmonton Oilers. They were a small market team. They kept losing all their players to the giant US market. So there was a lot of empathy there for people in Winnipeg. So you started to see a lot of Edmonton Oilers gear around town, a little bit of the Calgary Flames. And then you have the association between the Manitoba Moose and their NHL affiliate, the Vancouver Canucks. So a lot of people were grabbing onto that team. So you had fans from in Winnipeg for teams across Canada, and a lot of people stayed there. So it's a frustrating situation sometimes if you're a Jets fan and you're going to a Jets game with your high school buddy and you're watching him play the Calgary Flames and your buddy's sitting next to you. You know he was born here, but he's wearing a Calgary Flames jersey. So you've got those built-in kind of rivalries that exist between you and your friends who should be Jets fans because they're from here, but they're not because they got used to being fans of those other teams, and that sucked. And you've also got the fact that a lot of times you were one of those guys who went and grabbed onto the Edmonton Oilers, and now all of a sudden the Jets are back. You want to be a Jets fan, but a little bit of your heartstrings still get tugged when the Edmonton Oilers are in town. So the fact of the matter is Jets fans became Canadian hockey fans while the Jets were gone. So the fact that they get to see all those teams now, and they're the only Canadian team in a division where they don't have another Canadian team in that division, this could really provide a lot of opportunities for a lot of fun hockey watching in Winnipeg this season.
Well, I was just going to say, to the point you just made, the Jets being in the Central Division are the only one that don't get to match up multiple times against all the other Canadian teams like they do in the Atlantic, like they do in the Pacific. But the Jets might actually be better in an all-Canadian division than the Central, you think?
Well, you got to take a look at what they're escaping. If you're talking about it in soccer terms, you know, the Central Division is quite often the group of death. You take a look in there, they've got the St. Louis Blues, who won the Cup 2 years ago, were dominant during the regular season last year, didn't do too well in the playoffs, but, you know, we can look at that as maybe a one-off because of the different format and that they just weren't able to get going. Then you've got a team like the Dallas Stars, who went to the Cup last year. Big, skilled, really tough to play against. And then you take a look at a team like the Colorado Avalanche, who I think are going to go to the Stanley Cup final this year. And it's really a murderer's row of teams that you have to go through. I'm not sure that if there is a Canadian division, that any team in Canada is better than one of those three teams. So I think if you're the Jets, you've got a little bit of an easier path by getting out of the Central. I also think that the Jets are a team that their Achilles heel was really exposed by the Calgary Flames in the playoffs last year. The Flames leaned on the Jets, and the Jets had no answer because of their small defense. Well, you take a look across Canada, and a lot of teams, the Edmonton Oilers, you know, Vancouver Canucks, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they like to play a run-and-gun skill type of game. The Jets will take that style of game all day. They'll take their top 6 players, their top 2 lines, skill-wise, against any team in the league. They love to play that run-and-gun style. So I really do think the style of an all-Canadian division would really help the Jets out a lot more than going through that grind that we see in the Central Division.
Well, now it's time to either increase or decrease your popularity in certain parts of Canada. If there were an all-Canadian division for the upcoming NHL season, where do you think the Jets would rank amongst the 7 teams in there?
Well, again, I take a look and I see the style of play that is being played, and I think that it's a style that the Jets like to play. Now, we also are looking at a team last year that was a bubble team that probably wouldn't have been a bubble team if we wouldn't have seen Connor Hellebuyck doing what Connor Hellebuyck did last year in winning the Vezina Trophy and really keeping his team in it all year. So the Jets' success this year, based on what we've seen them do in the offseason, they haven't addressed a lot of those issues on the back end, which basically means if you're going to see them succeed, you're going to have to see Connor Hellebuyck doing what he did last year. Can he reach that level again? I think he can. Will he? I think the odds are that, as good as he plays, he may come down a little bit off of that performance. So they're a team that is in tough against it. But like I said, they are playing in a Canadian division. If it gets to that, then I think their style matches up really well. I think they finish in the middle of the pack in that group, probably somewhere around 4th out of 7 teams.
There you go. Not hate or love in parts of the country, just playing it neutral amongst all 7. Look,
I'll tell you what I really think later.
That's amazing. We may not need fans for an all-Canadian division given the circumstances right now because the intensity of it will be enough for us to feel it from wherever we are. Sean, thanks so much for this.
Thank you, Faizal.